Hey, do you like Kung Fu and Peaky Blinders? We got the show for you. It's called Warrior. It's on HBOMax, and we're going to talk about it in depth today on the podcast. Welcome, everybody, to the Salty Nerd Podcast. I'm joined, as always, by my fantastic panel of nerds. Matt Vader is here, as always.
Hey, what's up?
What's up, dude?
Getting my Kung Fu on.
Dude, this show's freaking awesome. I hope we bring what small amount of an audience we can to this show.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the people that we talk to on our Discord and on social media, they were like, oh, I've never heard of Warrior. And we're like, well,
This is like
buckle up, Buttercup.
this is some Bruce Lee shit with tits. It's gonna be awesome.
It's amazing. It's Skinamax, bro.
My favorite show in the world.
It does have quite a bit of tits.
There's a lot of tits in this show. It's definitely Skinamax. It's earned its name. So it started off on Cinemax, and then obviously Cinemax is like a sister company to HBO or something like that. So now it's on HBO Max because they are all owned by the same people. But anyway, Judah's here, and she's got a cocktail for us today.
Yeah.
Tell us about your cocktail. That
I
you
made Boulevardiers.
What?
Boulevardiers. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. Boulevardier.
Okay.
Boulevardier.
What exactly is that?
It's like a Negroni, but with whiskey instead of gin.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's kind of spicy, kind of sweet.
Yeah. Okay. I was worried when you said Negroni. I got flashbacks of
Okay.
that chick's drink from Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And
That drink has spoiled Negronis. Because the Negroni is actually my favorite drink ever. I love gin. I love a Negroni.
I like a Negroni with spagliato in
That
it.
thing is disgusting.
We tasted it. Everybody thinks it's gross.
It's disgusting. But a Negroni is actually really, really good.
Even-
and I love a little vermouth, a little bitters. And so this is basically a Negroni, but with whiskey instead of gin.
Okay.
It's called a Boulevardier.
Yeah, because that chick from I'm sorry, I forget what her name was, but she's from the House of Dragons
Yeah.
TV show, and she
Yeah.
did that viral Instagram thing where she was like,
It was
I like
everywhere, yeah.
spagliato and Negroni or whatever she said, and like everybody was like, oh my god, this is so funny. I love the way she talks about her drink, and then everybody tried it,
Yeah.
and then everybody's like, oh my god, this is gross.
The best thing about that going viral, though, is that now you can get a Negroni anywhere because they didn't always carry Campari before, and now they do because everybody's ordering Negronis.
Yeah. What
is
So I
this
can
thing?
actually get a Negroni now.
What is it called again?
Boulevardier.
Boulevardier.
Boulevardia.
You don't like it?
Fuck no.
All right.
What did you? I'm sorry. This is gross.
Kadish.
I'm gonna have to chug it just to be done with it.
Kadish is also here, the guy who doesn't drink on the show. Welcome, sir.
Not really ever.
Never drinking.
I think I'm gonna stick with Kadish and his fruity umbrella drinks going forward.
You can't go wrong with fruity umbrella drinks.
You really can't. Yeah, this is true.
Tiki glass.
Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for producing the show.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about Warrior. You know, like we covered C in depth, and this is the same crew that did seasons 2 and 3 of C. And this is actually a really good show. It's going to be hard to make fun of it,
Right.
But we will find a way.
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm a little nervous to cover this because it's such a good show. We can't really poke much fun out of it.
Well, even
But I love it when we find these little gems like this. Like when we found C, we loved C because of
How
the
goofy it
ridiculous
was.
nature of it.
Yeah.
And then when we heard of this and found this and we started watching this, we were all like, this is great.
Yeah.
Like it's so good and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, so like I watched the first season like a year and a half ago or so. Like when
Yeah.
we first met Jonathan Tropper, and Kate was like, "Oh, he produced Warrior." I went back and watched Warrior.
Yeah.
And then I hadn't watched it since. And when we started, we were like, "Hey, we're going to cover it for the show." So I'm going back and I'm
Yeah, because
watching.
there's a new season that's coming out soon.
Yeah.
We should point out that so like 2 seasons of this got produced, and then it got canceled. And then Cinemax was like, "Oh, this is actually a good show. We should bring it back." And so,
Yeah,
like,
I'm glad they
now they're
did.
coming back for a 3rd season because the show was, I guess, popular and had like its own like little niche, or Jonathan Tropper just had blackmail on someone at Cinemax. or
Yeah,
something.
and like the way that season 2 ends, it's kind of setting something up. So for it to end there would have been such a disappointment.
Yeah, so we're super stoked that season 3 is coming out in June, and we're prepping for that. Go ahead, V. You had
I'm gonna have a hard time
with what?
with this show
Why?
because I don't know how I'm gonna talk about this show without getting our channel completely.
Oh,
flagged
why are you
and
going to be
canceled.
like that, man?
Because
He
the
wants
show
to,
itself.
Oh, yeah, okay.
he wants
Okay,
to
listen,
become the
there is-
itchy onion.
There is so
Listen.
many racial
Yes.
slurs
Yes.
in this show.
Yes.
And so much naked.
It's-
I don't know how to talk about it. I don't know how to talk
Wait,
about
hold
it.
on. Is racial slurs and nudity is your kryptonite?
and
It's
whiskey.
listen, no, it's my jam, but I don't know how to talk about it. Without,
well-
there's the chunks. There's the chunk word.
Yeah, and then we got the ducks, and then the itchy onions.
And
it's so many things we could get in trouble for.
Yeah,
the first episode is literally called The Itchy Onion.
Yeah, well, every time Vader speaks, I'm just going to be...
This is the thing that you can get away with. If you're quoting the show, you're fine.
Oh. So
I just quote the show.
I'm gonna feel weird.
So then,
I don't think.
So then the show put her tits on the table.
And it was dirty.
But Vader's gonna do it in an accent.
Oh God!
Makes it even
don't
better.
try to do that.
And there's damn
You
chinks up there in the thing. See, you missed it.
If you're Irish, it's okay to say that. I guess. You Irish?
You can say Chinese slang.
I'm not
if you're Irish.
Well, in this show, you can. I don't know what you
Listen, I'm just going to go, they took our gerbs the whole time. That's what I'm going to do.
Is that a South
Park? They took our gerbs. Goddamn Chinese took my job.
But you got to do it in an Irish accent.
Yeah, you do have to do that in an Irish accent.
It's so terrible.
I don't know how to do it.
We're off to a great start.
My God.
It's going to be a great day.
It's really a good show, guys.
Yeah,
it is a good show.
I mean, we should point out that this show is based off of a TV series that Bruce Lee tried to get off the ground before he passed away tragically, and it's co-produced by his daughter, I believe, who found a bunch of his handwritten notes, and she basically teamed up with Justin Lin, who's I think he directed Aquaman and some other stuff, and basically they got Jonathan Tropper on board to do the production, and so this is actually a kind of really interesting look at San Francisco in the 1800s with the Tong Wars. And it's a mixture of kung fu and crime story.
Yeah.
And it's the type of thing Jonathan Tropper just excels at.
Yeah. So one of the most interesting things about this show, I think, is that when Bruce Lee was alive, he came up with the concept of the show Kung Fu. And he was supposed to star in it. And then they cast David Carradine and just ripped the whole show from him. And so
David Carradine's show was supposed to be.
It was supposed to star Bruce Lee.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't know that. I'm sorry. I'm completely ignorant of the history of Bruce Lee. I don't really know a lot about him.
Yeah. So this is what Bruce Lee's imagining of Kung Fu was supposed to be.
Oh, that's freaking dope. Okay. I dig it. This show is a lot of fun. I can't wait to break it down and talk about it. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to be covering this for the next 10 or so weeks. We're covering 2 episodes a week on the podcast. Because the new season comes out in June, and we want to make sure that we have both seasons done by the time we get to that point. And then we're going to break down the characters for you, the plot line of the first season or the first couple episodes, and then we're just going to dive into it. I have so much fun watching this show, so I hope that our listeners, if you don't know about this show, I hope you watch along with us as we go along. We've got a couple of months here, and if you have HBO Max, it's available there.
Yeah, definitely watch it.
Check it out for sure.
Just so everybody does know, if you're a member of our Discord, saltinerdiscord.com, it's open to everybody that listens. Please come join us. Every Monday night at 9:30 our time, Pacific, I'm going to be showing the 2 episodes that we're going to be talking about today, the next day.
Perfect.
For everybody to watch.
Yep.
So if you don't have HBOMax and you want to watch these episodes, come join us at 9:30 p.m. on Mondays.
Are we allowed to do that?
So
I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
I don't know. You guess you can cut
we'll
that part out. But you know what? It is what that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. So
yeah, join us for watch parties on Monday night of I don't know, whatever. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And I do want to put up a slight disclaimer before we get started with this, because this is a period drama. It takes place in a time period where racial slurs and racism was very rampant.
Yeah.
Along with sexism and social injustice and all types of stuff that I guess matters nowadays. But
weird way to put that, but okay, I'll hear you out.
Well, if you're offended by 19th century racism, I guess.
Yeah. But everyone is kind of equally treated shitty in this show. So you have the Asians who they're referred to as onions because of their yellow skin. Then you have the white people who are referred to as ducks. You have the Irish. You have basically every
women.
Yeah, you have women. Yeah, basically every minority group that you can think of that's in this show is kind of there's a derivative version of them in here. So we're going to be using language from the show in our reviews, and it's not meant to be,
insensitive.
Insensitive, exactly. We're just taking what is publicly broadcast on HBOMax
Yeah.
I don't
and
think
repeating it.
I don't think there's any other way to talk about this show. You
There
just
really
kinda
isn't.
got to be that way.
You gotta go with it.
But what I did think was interesting before we get going, some of this stuff, like the onion thing, they made up for this show.
Really?
Remember that? I sent
You did send me that
I
link.
sent you an
Yeah.
article, and
Yeah.
they said that a lot of stuff was lost in translation.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to kind of like play with it and go with it as they went along, and they made up some words as they went through
Okay.
this thing. So yeah,
Okay.
I
Oh,
found that kind of cool.
Like how Battlestar Galactica made up fracking.
Frack, yeah.
Frack. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good for them.
So yeah,
All right, so first off, we're going to break down the characters for you so that you know who we're talking about when we're discussing the plot lines and the character interactions within the TV show. And do you have yours pulled up? Because we
do.
can split them half and half if you want, Jude.
Yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and start off?
You can start with the song.
Okay.
Oh, is this the
Okay.
part where you excluded me from the?
Yeah, you
notes?
didn't get this email
I mean,
because
Thanks,
I
man.
figured you'd
you
be
can-
like, I'm
you
not
can
going to
take
read
Young
that.
June
No,
if
I
you
don't
want.
want to.
I know your eyes are shitty.
I'm not involved in this part.
Oh, no.
And I'm a little bitter. I'm a little bitter.
Are you for real?
Yeah, you
I didn't think you'd care.
fucking onion. What are you doing? Taking my drink away?
Yeah, I'm taking your drink away.
No,
you're not.
No,
okay.
no, you just fucked me. You fucked me.
You know
You didn't
what?
fuck me, but you fucked me.
I'm just gonna drink out of the bottle. Then.
Oh, Jesus. All right. Here we go. All right. So the main character of our show is Ah Sahm, played by Andrew Koji. I think is that how you pronounce his
think
last
so,
name? Koji.
yeah.
I apologize in advance if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. But he's a Chinese martial artist expert from Foshan who travels to San Francisco in search of his elder sister, Zai Jing, who
Zhaoxing.
what is it?
Zhaoxing.
Zhao Jing? Again, I apologize in advance.
Alex has had a lot to drink this morning.
I have already. I'm
You
a
guys
couple.
overdid it before we started drinking.
Star Trek will do that to you. Who immigrated years prior and he's kind of lost contact with. So he's in search of his older sister.
I just want to point out that Jonathan Tropper literally named the main character of his TV show Awesome.
Is that what Ah Sahm means?
No, it's pronounced Awesome.
Awesome.
But if you think about it, it's like
Oh, wow,
It's
dude.
basically
awesome.
saying awesome, but with an Asian accent.
And with like a slight hesitation in the middle.
Did
so
he
it's
do
like-
that on purpose?
I'm pretty sure he did.
What's his name?
Awesome.
No,
What's it about? Awesome.
you gotta put some panache.
Assam.
Assam.
Oh shit! Did you really do that?
You gotta make it racist. Assam.
So terrible.
I know, right?
I love it though. It's
Like
great.
I said, if I have
He is awesome, though.
Listen, if I have anything
He
left,
is awesome.
Yeah.
if any of my stuff makes it through the editing process of this show, I'm going to be shocked. Okay, the patrons are going to get a lot of
I was
shit.
like, I'm gonna have to edit that out.
couple months. So
Are we doing every other?
I love.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Oh,
So
awesome.
our
Okay.
next character, she runs a brothel. Her name is Atoy,
Yeah.
played by Olivia Cheng, and she is one of our favorite characters from C,
Yes.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte was amazing. She had
Yeah.
the best commentary because she was so spot on. She was like,
yeah.
she was like us. She was a surrogate for us
She
in
would
that
like
show.
pop up and be like, "That's crazy."
Yeah.
Adam, who runs a brothel in Chinatown,
Yeah.
and she's adept at wielding a I don't know how to
A
say
dao?
this. Dao.
I think that's the Dow.
Yeah, she's like a secret martial arts
She's
assassin.
like a ninja assassin.
She's
yes.
Totally a ninja
Yeah.
assassin.
Oh my gosh,
And
she's
she
the
is-
best fighter on this show.
Who are we talking
Yeah.
about?
We're talking about
Atoy,
the
the lady-
the
lady who-
madam of
I know,
the.
but who is she?
Charlotte.
She's in C.
Charlotte.
she was
Yeah. She's
Charlotte.
the compass. She's the leader of the compass.
What?
Yeah.
I know that.
I did not know this.
Welcome to the group chat, dude.
Oh, these are awesome. Okay, good.
Oh God, co-food.
Can we talk about some Irish people?
In a minute. We're gonna get there. So, young,
Here's me pot of gold.
young June. Dude, the Irish people are like the Peaky Blinders of this show.
Yes.
They're so freaking ruthless
Kind of hot.
and kind of crazy. Yeah, I love it.
And their leader, who was also in C,
Yes.
is pretty badass.
He was Lucian in C,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah.
What?
Anyway, yeah. Are you just now realizing this?
He's like, listen, guys, straight up, I didn't watch this show.
Anyway, young Jun, played by Jason Tobin, Father Jun's son and successor. Oh, he's the loudmouth guy. Okay. Father Jun's son and successor to.
It's June.
Is it June?
Father June.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jun.
So June is old June, and he is young June.
Yes. And he befriends Ah Sahm.
Awesome.
You're never going to not.
I'm never going to not be able to
yeah,
say it.
yeah.
Awesome.
And he is skilled with throwing knives. So he's the loudmouth guy who's kind of explaining
He's the
world.
cocky, yeah.
And
He
like,
likes
Awesome.
he likes his hooves.
Typical my dad is somebody guy.
There's two people who are like the surrogates for the audience in this show, and it's Ah Sahm and it's the cop Lee, who is like also a surrogate for the audience on the Irish side of things.
Yeah.
So the audience kind of sees the world through their spectrum.
Lee, the Southern guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Mai Ling.
Mai Ling is the wife of Long Zi. So she is the feuding. She represents the feuding factor.
Yeah, there are two gangs in Chinatown in San Francisco in this time period. One's and they're both called the Tongs, I believe.
Yeah. The Long Zi and the Hop Wei.
Yeah.
So she's also the long lost sister of our main character, Ah Sahm. Yes, Vader.
I don't know. I was just gonna comment. I think there's more than the two tongs.
No,
There's
Well, they're the two most powerful, but there are like
Yeah.
these minor gangs that are kind of going around, and basically it's a big war for like territory and the drug trade and all types of stuff. Gets pretty deep into it.
Yes. So Ah Sahm has come to America to find his sister who fled China. And she was like married off, and she was married off. We find out during the first episode, she was married off to fulfill a debt that Ah Sahm had incurred. And the man that she was married off to was very, very abusive. So she fled China. She has come to America. And lo and behold, we find out she's a boss bitch and she don't need her brother to come rescue her.
Yeah, so basically something happened in the old world country where Ah Sahm kind of like was going to be hunted down and killed by this local crime lord. And
I can't
He's
unhear
taking
it.
over.
I can't unhear it. I'm like,
awesome.
awesome. Like, I've watched this show twice so far, and that has never occurred to me a single time until this podcast. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to unhear it.
He's so awesome.
He's awesome.
He's such an awesome character.
Freaking awesome.
Oh wait, that's his name.
Who's your favorite character you ever
Oh,
played?
God.
Jonathan Tropper. Awesome.
Yeah, he is freaking awesome, right?
He's freaking awesome.
But basically, like his life, was saved by his sister agreeing to marry this warlord, and it was like a terrible marriage. Like he sexually abused her, he
Beat
beat her,
her, abused her,
all types of stuff. And then she escaped to America, and so Ah Sahm, who is kind of like racked with guilt over this, goes to America to track her down and basically like bring her back.
He thinks he's saving her, and she doesn't need saving.
Yeah, because basically this warlord guy died, and so it's safe to come back, and so he wants to bring his sister back. And when he finds her, she's married to like the second most powerful like gang boss in San Francisco, and she's like, I don't want to go back. Like
In fact, don't tell anyone you know me.
yeah. In fact, she changed her name, and so like a big part of episode 1 is Awesome trying to track down his sister.
Yeah, that's most of episode 1.
And I just want to say, I don't want you to give in to the Kadish who loves to pronounce things wrong.
I can't.
But he's not. He's actually saying it right now.
Awesome.
This is the character
Freaking
made
awesome.
for him. It's like I can say the word awesome, and I'm saying it correctly.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And when you say it like I do, I go awesome.
It's also correct.
It's also correct, but it's very
bad.
Doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I put the part in front of it before I say it.
You're editing this podcast. God damn it.
Can you bleep out his
All he said about is awesome.
God damn it. All right. The next
Atoy.
The next character.
And a Young June. And a Mylene.
Yeah, actually, when you do that, you pronounce it better.
I know. See,
it's proper.
I'm stuck in a weird spot. I'm trying to be.
I like how we're literally like 20 minutes in, it's already off the rails.
Yeah.
That's
completely
how we
done.
roll, bro. That's
It'll come out great in the editing
that's
process.
the
That's what we
Salty Nerd
have to do
podcast.
because there's nothing to poke fun of
This
in
is
this
what people
show.
want.
really not.
That's what people want.
Okay.
They want
Big Bill.
invasion levels of nonsense out of us, and that's what they're gonna get.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Okay.
Big Bill O'Hare. This might be my second favorite character other than
Is
Awesome.
he the head cop?
Yeah, he's the head cop with the
So
beard.
did you notice? He looks exactly like Matthew Kadish with a bigger beard.
Really?
A little bit.
You think so?
A little bit.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Got pointed out to
That's
us in the
interesting.
chat last night.
Really?
It's kind of weird.
Let me tell the
I'm gonna
amazing.
look at him with new eyes now.
Yeah.
Let me tell the people what he's all about. So the Irish police officer promoted to lead officer of Chinatown squad. He is a former friend of Dylan Leary, who is the gang member that we'll get to in just a minute, as both men were Union soldiers during the American Civil War. Due to his gambling problems, he is often in trouble with both the Chinese and Irish gangs. So he is the leader of the Chinatown patrol unit, but he's also kind of under the boot of every gang around because of his nefarious habits. But he is a freaking awesome character. He's so fun because he kind of has like a no nonsense kind of vibe to him. And I really enjoy that.
We're talking about the one with the beard
the big
and
bearded
the
guy.
18 kids.
Yeah, but, but he's super corrupt though.
Yeah, very corrupt. But he has to be.
I mean,
in this
who
world,
isn't?
like who isn't?
You know, one of my favorite scenes in this episode was when he got assigned. It's like, you're going to get a promotion.
Oh yeah,
But we're putting you in Chinatown with your little
Also,
loser
there's
group.
no extra pay.
yeah.
It's like, God damn it,
We're
man.
still dealing with that in America today.
Yeah.
You're getting a promotion. It's a lateral move.
You want to talk about Dylan Leary?
Dylan Leary.
Take it away, Jude. The heartthrob.
Dylan Leary, hot as hell, played by Dean Jagger. He's an American Civil War veteran, labor unionist, and leader of the Irish mob, and he is hot as hell. He loathes the Chinese. He's always... See, this is the thing about, like, the characters in this show. Like, they're not good people. I don't know if there's anyone in this show who's a good person, but they're so layered and intricate and interesting is that, like, you can, it's kind of like Peaky Blinders where you can, like, root for a bad guy even though he's a bad guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, Dylan Leary is a bad guy, but he's trying to help and support, like, what he considers his people. He wants the Irish to get jobs. He wants the Irish to be fed. He wants the Irish children
But the
to
way
be
he goes
taken care of.
about
But
it
the way he goes about it
savage.
is to, like, basically murder
Yeah.
anyone who's not Irish.
He's the quintessential Daytucker George guy.
Yeah.
Jibs.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
a very common thing that we see in a lot of different.
all I saw when they were going through all this stuff was like, oh, wow, this is exactly like 2023.
But you know what about Dylan O'Leary is that in terms of like being a tough badass, like he's a guy who can go toe to toe with Awesome and
Yes.
not get his ass kicked.
You know what? And we'll talk about this more when we get into the actual show, but I love the fact that everybody has a very distinct fighting style.
Yeah.
And the fact that Dylan is a very Irish brawler.
Dylan
like,
Leary.
Dylan Leary. He's like a bare knuckle boxer, Irish brawler guy. And when he goes up against somebody who might be like an expert in martial arts, they're like, oh shit.
He is a brick wall.
Yeah.
Good luck knocking him down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a great scene in season 2 where Awesome and O'Leary fight, and
It's not
epic.
O'Leary. First of all, it's not Awesome. And it's also not O'Leary.
It's not O'Leary, it's just Leary.
Oh, Leary.
Oh, Leary.
Oh, his name's O'Leary.
All right, Penelope Blake. Oh God. Oh, the mayor's wife.
Yes.
All right, she is.
We get to see a lot of her in
She
episode
is.
1.
Oh yeah, the wife of the mayor Samuel Blake, who is a pile of shit.
Yeah. So she's basically sold to the mayor.
Yeah, she and her husband do not get along, and as she only married him to save her father's failing business, she later falls in love with Awesome after he saves her life. So this.
She's kind of a bitch, dude.
No, she is not.
She is not.
She
She's
is
totally-
a
It's
sweetheart.
like she hates her husband.
Well,
But what does she do?
rightfully so.
She comes up in the bedroom and goes, oh, look at my tits. And look at my snatch. And she goes, and
Nope.
fuck you.
She closes the door.
I love that
And-
move.
I love it too. That was great.
That's some bullshit right there.
Because if you were a real man, you get out of bed and knock down that door.
This guy's just like, oh, was that my incredibly sexy wife? Never mind.
It's like,
Yeah.
give me the
It
booze.
pissed me off
And
so
then
much.
she's like, honey, you know
Ugh.
what I think? I think we should do it. But first, we should have a conversation about
Can
what
we-
I think should happen in the city. And oh, don't forget your drinky poo. You love your drinky poo. And she put laudanum in it and knocks him out before he has to fuck her.
Can we talk about Samuel Blake since we're basically talking about him anyway? Can you?
Oh, the mayor?
Yeah, the mayor.
Okay,
Go ahead.
yeah,
He's my
yeah,
he is
yeah.
my least
Yeah.
favorite character in the show. I hate him so much.
No.
worst.
My least favorite character is the mayor's assistant.
His little henchman.
Oh no, but he's kind of a badass.
Yeah, I don't like
But he's on the wrong
We'll-
team.
We'll talk about him.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a minute. But go ahead, take on
Okay, Samuel Blake. He's the mayor of San Francisco. Penelope's husband, and despite espousing anti-Chinese views to gain the support of his constituents, he secretly frequents a toys brothel to be serviced by both male and female Chinese prostitutes.
I hate this guy so much.
Oh, he's the worst.
The
He is
worst.
the absolute
He's a
worst.
sniveling,
He's a
lying
little
politician.
bitch. Like,
oh yeah,
he's the typical guy who acts like he has so much power,
He doesn't
but is
have anything.
weak.
Yeah.
He is weak.
super weak. I hate this guy. He is the best bad guy in the show for sure. In my
mayor?
opinion. Yeah, because he's so sniveling, but he
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. Father June is pretty.
no, he's like a good bad guy. When
Yeah.
I'm saying like worst bad guy in the show is like the guy that I'm like rooting for the least.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to get this straight really quick.
Yeah.
There are no good characters in this show, right?
Everybody's kind of a murderer.
Everybody kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It's one of
I
those
mean-
shows where it's like you root for the. You either have to go complete anti-hero and root for the guy who just like completely destroys people, or the other dude who just like revels in murder.
So you know who you
I
can.
don't know who to root for.
If
You know
you're-
what? Lee is a good guy.
I was gonna just say
Yeah.
that's a great segue because
The Southern guy?
the one person
Lee.
that you can root for in this show is Dick Lee. Richard Henry.
Lee.
Dick
Oh
Lee.
yeah, you know that guy talks like a good old
He's
boy
a
from down
Southern-
south.
yeah.
He's
Oh
from
my God,
Georgia.
we are in America, and every time he walks down the street, everybody goes, "Where are you from?"
I know.
Georgia.
And it should be noted that Mr. Lee fought for the South to preserve slavery.
Goddamn
Goddamn
grayback.
gray
He
coats.
fell in love
Got
with a
gray
slave
back.
too.
Yes, he did.
I ain't working with no grayback.
That happens.
Gonna do it.
So he's Richard Henry Lee is a new police officer from Savannah, Georgia. And he is disliked by his Irish colleagues who are Union veterans due to his family having fought for the Confederacy. Despite being from the South, he is much more racially tolerant compared to his peers.
The best gag in the entire series so far
Go
is
with
whenever he says some weird Southern shit and
Yeah.
everybody goes,
I don't
I don't know
understand
what
you
you're
just
talking
said.
about. What are you saying?
I was gonna wait until we talk about the episode, but like that one throwdown that he has with the Irish officer, and he's like, I'm paraphrasing here because I don't remember exactly the line, but he's like, "There's not gonna be enough left of you to spread on toast," and it was like the
Yeah.
most Southern insult ever, and I was like, "Oh, I dig it. All right, cool."
Your mama makes shitty grits.
How dare you, sir?
I bet your mama's tea ain't even sweet.
All right, Jude, take Walter Buckley.
Walter Franklin Buckley, the deputy mayor of San Francisco, who recently conspired with Mai Ling to start a gang war between the Hop Wei and the Long Z, so the two tongs.
He is, would you say, the equivalent of the little finger of
Or
the show?
as Jonathan Tropper likes to call him, Sticky Finger.
Sticky finger.
Sticky finger.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he is the Peter Baelish of the
Yeah,
show.
he really is.
Yeah, he's playing all sides, and he's got his own game going on, but he's using all of his assets.
This is the mayor's assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
The
say
bearded
this is the guy you love to hate the
Yeah,
most.
don't like him.
Yeah.
And also, he has one leg, which I'm assuming he fought in the Civil War and lost his leg.
Yeah.
Mean. Why do you have to call attention
Didn't
to
everybody who fought in the Civil War lose a limb?
Probably.
I was
somewhere?
joking.
Yeah. I mean, if you get a cut on your legs, they're just going to chop it off.
Yeah.
Here, drink this whiskey. Oh, there you go. Took care of it.
That was like the standard procedure.
Yeah, it was like that was just how you did it.
Yep.
They could take a saw and some Jameson or whatever. Was Jameson around back then?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Maybe.
1780. Yeah,
Yeah,
they were
yeah, it
around.
was definitely around.
Yeah, yeah.
This
So,
happens in
yeah, yeah.
1876.
Well, the Civil War is 1860s.
yeah.
So,
So,
yeah.
this Jameson, this is the official drink of
Frey
the-
Ranch was established in 1854.
It was after this show. So Frey Ranch was around too?
Frey-
Okay.
Well, we should also point out that this character is kind of the one facilitating the drug trade in Chinatown.
Yeah.
And he also secretly runs the city because, like, the mayor is such a buffoon. The mayor doesn't really do anything. And so he's the one who basically wields the real power in town. And he's not wielding it in a very
Efficient or
no,
knowledgeable.
it's very efficient, but not very moral way. Like,
Yeah.
like
The mayor?
No,
No.
the assistant mayor.
Oh, okay.
Assistant mayor. Actually, Jude, you had a lot to say about Father June. Do you want to take that one?
Oh, I just think he's the best bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, he comes across as this old man who's kind of like the patriarch of this Chinese gang. But then when he comes out to show who's boss, he fucking does. Like, this old man, just because he has a gray beard, don't count him out,
Yeah.
because he is tough as shit and he has built this gang.
Yeah, and he's the one with the eyes messed up or whatever.
Yeah.
He looks like a freaking classic villain from any TV show.
And he runs that gang.
Yeah.
Like, they all might be younger and stronger and faster, but he is the ruler of the Hop Wei.
And one of the cool things about Father June is that throughout the course of the 2 seasons, like, you keep hearing these stories about him, like how he became like this like really cutthroat mob boss, and he's kind of like a local legend amongst, you know, the people in Chinatown and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to like hear, because he was kind of like the awesome of his time, you know, like when he was coming up through the ranks. So it's kind of interesting to hear like all these kind of like bits of mythology dropped as we're going along with the story about Father June.
Yep. And the last character of note on our... Actually, there's two more. I'm sorry about that. Li Young. Li Young is a skilled martial artist who serves as the Longzi's enforcer. Oh, this is the antithesis. Is that the right word?
This is Mai Ling's boy toy.
Yeah, Mai Ling's boy toy, and also the
He's
opposite of awesome. How do you?
He's the main foil for Awesome. So like he's the only other guy in Chinatown who can match Awesome's skill.
Oh, so he was the guy that was there where he was like, this guy's too fresh.
Not only
he doesn't need to be. He's too young. Doesn't
Not only is he banging Awesome's sister, but he's also a better fighter than Awesome.
I'm getting mixed up.
I mean, I would say they're pretty
equal. They're pretty equal, but I feel like he's got a little bit more of an edge to him.
He's banging Father June's wife.
Yes.
No.
Longzi's wife.
Longzi's wife.
Yeah.
So Mai Ling
Yeah.
is the de facto head of the Longzi because she's married to the top guy there.
Right.
Okay, so
who basically is an old man in a bed.
Yeah, right. And so like we don't really need to talk about him because he's a minor character.
Yeah, he's a very minor character. He's the head of the gang, but only in name.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's still respected, and he still makes the rules, expecting his wife to enforce them.
But
she's really doing her own thing.
Feminine wiles to manipulate him into doing what she wants.
So
she has some feminine wiles.
She sure do.
All right, Jude, take it away.
The last character we're going to talk about is Wang Chao, played by Hoon Lee, who we loved from C. He played Toad, our favorite gay character. And this is
his romance with Kofun was legendary.
Yeah, it was legendary. It went down in the books.
He also got it with Paris, though. He got down with Paris.
I mean, it's a sliding scale of black and white. So he's the black market salesman who acquires various contraband for the Tongs. He also is welcoming the Chinese off of the boats and deciding where they go. And he immediately sees Ah Sahm come off the boat and get into a fight. And he's like, you're going to be a Hop Wei. And he just delivers him, and he gets a fee for delivering skilled fighters to the Tongs.
Yeah, Hoon Lee's character is the quintessential kind of like guy who plays all sides.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets him into trouble, but for the most part, he's just focused on profit.
And he's the only Chinese character in this who everybody knows speaks English.
I immediately picked up on the fact that this guy, Hoon Lee's character, is the one character in the show that everybody likes. If you're watching the show and you don't like Hoon Lee's character, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Just saying, man. I mean, because he's fun.
He plays all sides.
But I find his character interesting because he if you want somebody who's the little finger of the show, I feel like it's him because he's got
he's more likable.
He's more likable, but he's got his hands in everything.
He really does.
And what I also found interesting is like he's the only one in this character that's banging a white chick.
Oh, what does he
notice
say?
that?
In this episode, in episode 1, he's like, I hope I die with a duck chick in my bed or something like that. He's like,
he's very wise.
Great.
He's very wise.
Oh yeah, very wise.
He's the glue, man. He's the glue that brings everything together.
Also, like if Hoon Lee is in a Jonathan Tropper show, he's like the star. I don't care about.
He's the smartest person in the room.
I don't care like who the lead actor is. Like Hoon Lee is the star.
You know who he is? He is the equivalent of Quentin Tarantino's Samuel L. Jackson.
Sure,
that's Hoon Lee for Jonathan Tropper. Samuel L. Jackson, if he's in a Quentin Tarantino movie, he's the smartest character in the show. And I feel like that's what Hoon Lee is for Jonathan Tropper.
Who runs Chinatown? Well, Wang Chao runs Chinatown.
R.I.P. Toad.
Yeah. All right, guys. Before we get into the first episode breakdown, we're going to talk about it and have a great time. I want to mention our sponsor for the show is Dragon Champions. Go to saltynerd.com/DC to download Dragon Champions. It's a really fun mobile game that you can pick up for free and play and help support the podcast. And don't forget to type in Salty in the promo code area. That's where you're going to get all the goodies and a little bit of leg up on the competition. Dragon Champions is a collecting heroes game where you get to collect your heroes, upgrade them, and go on the warpath with your friends. And if you get to level 20, you can also join the Salty Nerd Podcast Guild, which is ran by one of our patrons, JT. So head over to saltynerd.com/DC, download Dragon Champions on your Apple device or your Android, and hop into a really fun, easy-to-play time waster game that we all love to sit down and just freaking and go on the warpath. It's great. Thank you to Dragon Champions for supporting the show. Episode 1, Season 1 of Warrior, called The Itchy Onion. Jude, would you like to read the synopsis, or do you want me to do it?
Sure, I can.
Take it away.
San Francisco, 1878. Ah Sahm, a newly arrived Chinese immigrant with serious fighting skills, is introduced to Chinatown's most ruthless tong, the Hop Wei, by Chow, a fixer. After impressing young June, son of Tong leader Father June, Ah Sahm is branded and taken to a brothel where he befriends a toy, a courtesan with connections. Later, in search of a woman who left China 2 years earlier, Ah Sahm crosses paths with Mai Ling and Li Yong, followers of the rival Tong leader Long Zi, who is trying to avoid an opium war with the Hop Wei, a war that Walter Buckley, deputy to San Francisco's mayor Samuel Blake, actively promotes. Meanwhile, after 2 Chinese laborers are killed by white thugs, Police Sergeant Big Bill O'Hara is tasked with creating a Chinatown squad, enlisting Southern-born cop Dick Lee. Bill soon finds that the hostility between the Chinese and white dock workers, whose unofficial leader is Irish tough Dylan Leary, is unlikely to end anytime soon.
You mean it's not O'Leary?
Dylan O'Leary.
Dylan O'Leary.
Bill O'Hara. Big Dick O'Hara.
I mean, every Irish character in this just has an O at the beginning of their last name.
It should be Big Dick Lee, right? Because it's Richard Lee.
Oh,
it's
that's the
Big Dick Lee.
It just dawned on me that we're gonna have
God bless him.
we're gonna have a hard time with names for the next 8 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Big Bill.
Yeah.
Big Dick.
Awesome.
And
Walter Buck.
the lady who runs the brothel,
A toy.
literally named A Toy.
She's a toy.
She's a toy.
Jesus.
Yes.
Are we reading? Hold on a
me
second.
right now.
Are we
You are
reading too much
fucking
into
with
this? Are we reading?
know.
I'm gonna have to ask
Fucking
Tropper.
Tropper's a genius, bro. A toy. She's a toy. Fucking the whore is a toy. And Mr. Awesome likes to fuck the toy.
Yes.
All right.
God damn it! You know, I was really.
Fuck you, Jonathan Tropper. You son of a bitch.
And Dylan Leary.
Take your goddamn fucking satellite dish and stick it up your ass. All right. This is ridiculous.
And Dylan Leary with his speeches about Irish rights.
God damn it!
Remind you of Dennis Leary at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I was
Oh,
really
Dylan Leary.
sitting down watching this show. I'm like, this show is too good. As a group, we usually like to nitpick and make fun of things, and I'm like, I don't think we can make fun of this show.
No, we can't.
No, we found it.
We found it.
We found the key.
Tropper and his racist names. Awesome.
That is a title card. Jonathan Tropper is racist.
We don't want to get him in trouble.
And here's why.
And there's no black people.
I don't know if we're
There's no black people in this
Can
show.
we release this? I don't know if we can or not.
It's
Fine.
like-
no, there is. No, stop. No, stop. Because Leary, I don't know if it's season 1 or 2.
Oh, Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. O'Leary, yeah, just
Mr.
Not
O'Leary.
O'Leary.
Dennis Leary is at a bar, and these two black guys come in, and
for
the Irish guys are like, "Get the fuck out of our bar!" And Leary's like, "These boys have as much right as we do to be here at the bar. Drink your whiskey, have your."
And then get the fuck out.
And then get the fuck out.
I do want to point out that the local bar, the watering hole that all the Irish guys go to, is called the Banshee, which is a direct reference to Tropper's other show on Cinemax
Nice.
called
Banshee.
Banshee. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so
Got
episode
a
1.
4-leaf clover above it.
Fuck, I love Irish people. Okay, so episode 1, I just want to say, we kind of did the synopsis and the breakdown of it. There's so much happening in the first episode.
Really strong introduction to the show.
Yeah, there's a couple of things I want to mention. One is the brutality. This show starts off with a bang. Right off the dock, Awesome comes out and just kicks the shit out of two
Yeah,
guys.
and these dock workers are so
They're
typical.
dicks.
I am a little man with a big job, and I
Yeah.
think I've got power.
They're actually immigration officers.
Terrible, awful
that
people.
are basically really mean to like the
That's
people
what you
coming off
want
the
is
boat.
racist immigration officers.
Yes.
It's this big, slovenly, fat guy, and he's like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to take off my
gonna-
jacket. I'm going to teach you a lesson. I was a boxer
And then-
100 years ago.
Yeah,
and
and
Ah Sahm is just like, get more guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's do
like,
this.
Love
he
it.
just throws one kick and the guy just goes down like
Yeah.
a
Listen,
bag of
when-
bricks.
when-
Yeah,
You see-
he throws one kick and he like knocks out 14 people.
When you see the Bruce Lee acolyte do his thing, you know,
Yeah.
and then you see this dumbass white guy.
Oh, I got you.
I'm
I
gonna
got
get
you. No,
you.
you're like, you
Come
got
on
no
now.
chance. You
Yeah.
got no chance, bro.
Yeah.
It's like,
So, yeah.
that guy's dead.
But the fight scenes,
he's not gonna last.
The fight scenes in the show are next level. So
Oh
that's
my
the
God.
one thing I
Yeah.
wanted to mention is the brutality. The second thing is just how masterful this first episode lets the audience in on this world that they're being introduced into. Like
Yeah.
there's so many moving parts and there's so many factions, and the show is like very purposefully, this is what's happening here. These are the characters. This is what's happening over here. These are those characters. And I love how it just takes you along for this ride. And me personally, going into a brand new show, I was never once like, who's that again?
Yeah.
And who's he fighting for? And what side is he? That never happens.
And
they're
also-
so distinct.
And this is just in San Francisco, but this world already feels so big because there are all these different factions of gangs, and then like there's like the high society people, and then there's just like the poors. Like it just feels like such a big world. And but we know this is just San Francisco, which is a tiny, tiny city.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love how well it's introduced us into this world that I was never confused once. I knew all the characters.
Yeah.
I might not know their names right off the bat, but I know who they are. I know whose side
And you
they're
know
fighting
everyone's
for.
place.
And you're
Yeah.
like, this is masterful writing for this
Yeah,
first
I mean,
episode.
it's interesting because they break it down. So, like, you have the criminal element, which are the tongs. You have the cops, and then you have like the government element, who are like the high society people. But then, in addition to that, you also have like the racial breakdown. So you have like the Chinese or the Japanese or like whatever in Chinatown. Then you have like the Irish, and then you have I guess just like the regular American white people, you know. So
And there are powerful Chinese, there are poor Chinese, there are powerful white people, there are poor white people, and like throughout, they're all integrated so well.
Yeah. And there's one other thing, and this is something that I harken back to like Red October for. One of the things I love about Red October is that the transition between them speaking Russian and then just the camera turns.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
that was done so
Yeah.
beautifully.
I don't know. I can't remember who directed Hunt for October.
oh, it was John McTiernan.
Okay, so whatever Tropper did, he did the exact same thing in this show, where it's like the camera turns and the audio switches from Chinese to English
Yeah, the
seamlessly, and you're like,
Chow Yao Hopefully he's got serious skills. I just saw him take out 3 immigration bulls.
freaking amazing. Because
Yeah.
as an audience member, you're like, are they speaking English right now? Can everybody hear them, or are they speaking Chinese? And this show makes a point to say, no, they're speaking Chinese, but for your benefit, they're speaking English.
Yeah.
But to everybody else, it's Chinese. I love how they did that. It was
So
so
smart.
seamless and great. I love
And
it.
another interesting thing about Awesome is that he's one of the few Chinamen who can actually understand and speak English because his grandfather was a white guy basically, and so like he grew up with him and he taught him all this stuff. And so a lot of people are like, when he gets off the boat at the very beginning of this episode, you know, the immigration guys are just insulting these like Chinese guys left and right. And he comes up and he starts speaking English, and they're all just like, "What? What's going on here?
What
Speak
witchcraft
English."
is this?
He does speak pretty good English.
He does. It doesn't even. He doesn't have an accent or nothing. He
Oh,
just
I love it. And
Goes into it.
I think it's probably episode 3 when he's like making fun of how the Americans make fun of the Chinese, and he's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, John Chinaman, remember?"
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he like thickens up that accent to like
Just
make
to tease
I
him.
like
don't-
to
how
make a
dare
point.
you.
Like that's how you talk about me.
Yeah.
I don't know how to talk about this stuff. I really don't. I'm having a very
Well,
hard time.
do you have a thing that like when you're watching the show, you're like, God, that's freaking awesome. Like, is there
Yeah,
any-
the whole show's awesome.
the whole show?
Yeah, I was like, there's no salt for this show.
I really don't.
I have no salt for this show so far.
Yeah.
I've seen the first 2 episodes, and I just
Well, you've watched it before, haven't you?
not the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, very little.
So
of it.
you were kind of going along with us as
Yeah,
we're
yeah, yeah.
doing the show. All
Yeah,
right, I gotcha.
And but yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of these kind of shows that either have to get all in with how we talk about it, or or not. And I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to pussyfoot around this stuff. I'm going to make fun of it. I'm going to have fun with it. And if I hurt your feelers, fuck you. I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay.
That's the disclaimer.
So,
maybe I should put that at the beginning of the episode.
Do it.
As the intro.
Whatever you want, man. Do it.
So let's dive a little bit into the plot of this first episode. So we got a couple of different plot lines going on here. So the first one is Ah Sahm basically arriving in San Francisco and trying to track down his long lost sister. Then we've also got this other like murder plot where basically these Irish guys killed a couple of Chinamen, and the Chinese people aren't very happy about it, and they're kind of in jail, and that brings in Dennis Leary, who basically is upset that
I regret my choice.
He's upset that they're getting prosecuted for killing Chinamen who he feels are taking their jobs. And then we got the mayor and his wife, and they're looking at ways to kind of capitalize off of the Chinese hate in order to basically steal money from the taxpayers, essentially, with this public transportation scheme that they have cooking up. And finally, we've got the rivalry between the two tongs in Chinatown and the secret drug trade that Mai Ling is brokering with the lieutenant mayor. So there's a lot of different things going on. Oh, and also the cops forming the Chinatown squad, and Big Bill teaming up with Big Dick.
Big Bill and Big Dick.
Yeah.
My favorite plot line in this episode is the search for his older sister, because like there's a little bit of dialogue that happens towards the end of this episode where they kind of explain what happened, but I think we talked about it a little bit before. But basically she married some like crazy warlord back in China to protect her brother from being killed, and she was treated horrendously bad by him, and then she runs away to San Francisco, and her brother finally is like, hey, you can come back home now, that guy's dead, it's safe. And she's basically like, screw you, I'm not.
She's like, home?
Why?
I want to go to a farm?
Yeah, why would I do that? I'm running a freaking gang.
I'm running San Francisco right now.
Like, get the heck out of here. You are nothing. And she's still pretty ornery with her brother about like letting her, I guess, get taken by this guy and like sacrificing herself essentially.
Like, she's like, who are you to rescue me?
Yeah.
I rescued myself.
Yeah.
I take care of me. I don't need you to come here and rescue me and take me home. Farm boy, you go home.
Yeah.
I'm taking her as the big bad of the show, right?
She kind of is a little bit, especially when we get later in the season.
So
she's not necessarily the innocent farm girl that she was originally.
Yeah.
And I really like I attached myself to that plot line more than anything else, because I was like, that's the familial, is that the right word?
Familial.
Yeah, whatever that word is.
You were fine.
The ties that are together, like, oh, I'm going to try and rescue my sister, but my sister like is really mad at me and she doesn't want me to rescue her, but he still feels like I need to stick around to help her. Like he struggles with that, because there's a scene where he's like, maybe I should just go back. Maybe this is too late for me.
It's also important to point out. So like he gets basically like initiated into the rival like Chinatown gang
as soon as he gets off the boat.
Oh my God.
When he finds out that his like he didn't think much of it because he was just planning to find his sister and then leave, go back to China. But now that like he's initiated into the gang and the sister tells him to go F off, he's kind of stuck in that gang now. And so now like the gang is like, you're part of us and we need you to start working.
Yeah.
And he becomes like their top enforcer.
There's a scene where he gets branded by this gang as like an initiation type hazing thing.
Skinned in.
Yeah, he gets skinned in. The day one he's there, they're like, yeah, you're part of us. It was like, you could fight, so you're good. And then he goes to go rescue his sister, and the first time he confronts his sister about it, she pulls his sleeve up, and she's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, really, you just got here? You're already branded as part of this gang? And he's like, it doesn't mean anything. And she's like, bullshit. Yeah. Of course it means something. What are you, nuts? So like,
do they not watch Yellowstone? Do they not know what the branding means?
Yeah, so
like, you're in for life, man.
Like, I think initially he was just like, I'll just do what I have to do to get my sister out of here.
Yeah,
and he was
brand don't mean shit in China.
It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm just gonna go home. But now he's stuck here and he can't go back home. And now he's branded as this gang member, which happens to be the rival of his sister's gang.
Yeah.
So there's like
the rival to his sister.
Yeah, there's this amazing back and forth between the two of them throughout this whole season, which that's the thing that I really enjoyed the most out of the show, other than the freaking amazing fight scenes.
So I want wanted to talk a little bit about the female characters in this show. So I complain a lot about when shows introduce a female character as their lead and they just write her terribly, but we're all supposed to get behind her. One of the greatest examples is in Halo. Their main female character, we all hated, and me especially, to the point where I stopped watching this show.
What's her name? I can't remember her name.
Whiny lady.
Yeah.
Who makes bad decisions.
It was Quan, right?
Quan Ha. Yes.
Yeah.
Quan Ha. She was terrible.
And that was a really poorly written female character just for the sake of having a female character. And everybody who didn't like her was apparently like sexist.
Yeah.
These female characters are so well written. And here is a great example of you could have taken a character and written her as just like a one-dimensional, that's his sister, and she fled, and now she's in another gang. But they give her like a fucking backstory, and they give her motivation and they give her her own character, and she is so interesting to watch. And the same with all of their female characters. Like, all of these characters are so well written, and they're so individual. And it's just, it makes for such a rich show to watch.
Yeah.
Like, all of these characters, whether you're watching whatever relationship you're watching, whatever character you're watching, each character is so well-rounded that you can fully invest in this show because the characters seem to be created with such care.
Yeah, I want to talk about Ah Toy for just a second. You know, she runs this brothel, and the brothel is kind of like the hub of like all the dirty, underhanded business dealings that go on in town. And basically, like when
it's the watering hole.
Yeah. When Ah Sahm goes there to like search for his sister because he thinks his sister might be one of the girls there, Ah Toy gets kind of exposed to him, and he actually has to fight these like rival gangsters like in the brothel at a certain point. And when she sees him like basically go
Throw
like
down
1-on-5 and kicks all their asses, she's like, oh my. and like she makes it a point to say that like out of all the girls in the brothel, there's only one that you can't buy, and it's her. And she chooses to, you know, sleep with Ah Sahm because like she sees potential in him. And the relationship between Ah Sahm and Ah Toy throughout the course of these next 2 seasons is really kind of like one of the really interesting relationships in the show, because, you know, she's kind of on her own journey for like power and independence and stuff like that.
And justice.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny because there's a scene, I don't know if it's in episode 2 or 3, where you know, she's kind of like tending to Ah Sam's wounds, and he's like, oh, do you want to bang? And she's like, no, I got that taken care of. And there's like a girl who's like, you know, just like waiting in the wings to like to come in and pleasure her.
And that's another really interesting thing, is that like they introduce bisexual characters in this without beating you over the fucking head with their sexuality.
But it's really funny because like when Ah Sahm sees that, he's just like, oh, okay.
He's like, yeah, right on.
yeah, he's like, message received, and he just like leaves.
Well, he could like barely breathe because I think that's
but my
after.
dick's still hard.
Yeah, there's an episode. I think it's called Chinese Boxing, I believe is the name of the episode, where it's a brutal fight, and he has like a whole episode of him just like recovering from the wounds that he took from that.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's the episode you're talking about, but that's later on in the season.
No. There's a second.
There's another one?
I think I was talking about episode 3 because it was right after Father June basically like punishes him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the whole first episode of this series does everything it needs to do. It sets up all the characters. It sets up all the conflict. It kind of like gives the audience the direction that the show's going to go in, and that leads us directly into episode 2.
Yeah. And I wanted to jump off of something that you said, because you said something really interesting about Ah Toy, the brothel lady, that she's on her own journey for like power and I forget what else you said, but independence. So that's the interesting thing about Ah Toy, is that she doesn't really care about power. She wants justice, and the way to get that is through gaining power, and that makes her so interesting.
Yeah, and her journey was kind of mirroring Mai Ling's in the sense that, like, you know, she was brought over and she was abused.
Yeah.
And, like, just through sheer force of will, she kind of like became like her own woman and carved out like a little she's part of Chinatown for herself.
Yeah, and the difference between Mai Ling and Ah Toy is Mai Ling wants to have a kingdom. She wants the power because that's what makes her feel safe. And Ah Toy just wants justice for all of the injustice that she has seen throughout her journey.
And
I'm gonna just give you a comment that you can actually leave in this episode.
Oh, good.
Okay,
that's great.
There'll be one.
So I am just very much impressed with the writing and the structure of this show, because all Tropper did was introduce characters and gave us the basic direction of where all these people are at. And for a first episode, that's all we need.
Yeah.
That's all we want. We just give us an introduction and give us some base personality quirks of these characters and of what their
And some realistic motivations.
motivations are.
Yeah.
And that's all you got to do, and I appreciate it. And for that reason and that reason alone, on top of all the funny names and all the weird stuff, I'm in.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a really good introduction.
But you
to
know
this
what? He
show.
did all that with putting in tons of really awesome fight scenes.
Yeah. There's
for
at
sure.
least, I think there's a fight scene at least every 15 minutes in this episode. Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
it
yeah.
starts
Each-
off with one, and then there's one like a third of the way in, and then there's another one 2/3 of the way in, and then there's one at the very end. And it's like,
And between
it
there,
keeps
there's
you-
all this like intellectual fight
Yeah.
choreography going on too.
yeah, it's awesome. I was gonna mention too the motivation of his sister. What was her name again?
Mai Ling.
Mai Ling. Of just like coming up in the ranks and becoming like, obviously when she got to San Francisco, she was at the bottom of the barrel, right? She showed up on the boat just like everybody else, and she's worked her way up to the top ranks of this gang.
Well, she married well.
She married well. She did some smart maneuvering. But anyway, episode 2 is called "There's No China in the Bible," which is kind of a freaking jacked up thing to say.
Well, that's what the Irish said.
Yeah, it's literally a line that an Irishman says to a Chinaman in the show, and it was just I was like watching, I'm like, oh my god.
I think
Is he
the
wrong?
name of each episode, if not overtly racist, is a little bit racist.
But anyway, the synopsis of this episode: intercepting a shipment of opium at the docks, Young Jun and his Hop Wei lieutenant Bolo in tow decides to send a message to Long Zi. Big Bill and Lee investigate a ghastly murder scene in the alley next to the Irish bar. The Banshee, Penny Blake, the young wife of San Francisco's mayor, finds herself in a bind while visiting the wharf with her Chinese manservant, Jacob. Ah Sahm pays the steep price of playing the hero, and the Long Z clean up a mess and brace for more bloodshed. All right, so this episode 2 of the show, is just like peppered with absolute grotesque brutality.
Yeah,
Like,
we
so
should
many.
point out that the first episode ends with Charlotte with Atoy going out and basically killing the Irishman who killed like the Chinaman at the beginning of the episode in a very like I have a sword and I'm going to behead you and disembowel you and stuff like that. Yeah. So like it was a very violent end to the first episode, and it kind of picks up where that
And
left off.
she runs through them like a fucking cloud.
Dude, that sword is freaking badass.
Oh
When she goes
my
She's got the
God.
cloak and the hood on.
She is the most skilled fighter in this whole show.
You think so?
Yeah.
You think low key she could take on some of the other guys?
High key.
High key?
High key. She's a destroyer.
Yeah.
Like Ah Sahm is a fighter. She is a destroyer. She doesn't just fight someone, she executes them.
Yeah. Well,
Painfully.
Ah Sahm did he kill anybody, or does he just beat them up?
He kills a lot of people in the very opening scene of this episode.
Of this episode, yeah. This is where they go to the docks and they kill a bunch of the rival gang members.
That's not his intention though. Like he's just there to maintain order.
Yeah.
And she's there to execute motherfuckers.
But Awesome has no problem killing a fool.
he doesn't have he doesn't have any problem with it.
Yeah.
But like he sets out.
I feel like he's not as ready as Atoy to kill, though. I feel like he tries to reserve himself a little bit.
Yeah.
Atoy just doesn't give a shit.
Well, I think he has more humanity than her.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, he's still like,
Well, what-
I'm just a farm boy here to save my sister,
What-
and she's like, no, we're executing motherfuckers.
Well, what did she say in episode 1? She mentions something like, "This is Chinatown. Our blood is cheap here." Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't give a shit.
And she knows where she stands, and therefore she has to seek out her own vengeance.
Yeah, I mean, I completely disagree with your take on Atoy because, like, when she goes out there and she kills people, it's because they deserved it and they had it coming. But she does it very sparingly. Like she's not out there
okay.
every day like Ah Sahm is beating people into the ground. You know?
She's the Batman
Is
of
the-
Chinatown.
Well, Batman doesn't kill. She's more like the Punisher.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. What's that guy's name? Frank Castle?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the Frank Castle
She's
of
a
this universe.
toy.
She's a toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're terrible. Oh, God, Tropper, what were you doing with these names?
The brutal brothel.
So in the opening scene of this episode, basically, Awesome's out there with his crew, and they're taking down an opium shipment. And there's a great scene where young June basically sets it all on fire, and his lieutenant's like, "What are you doing? That's like prime molasses right there." And he's like, "We're not thieves, man. We're not here to steal. We're here to send a message."
Yeah.
You know, so like
he's the thug, man. I like it.
Yeah, we really get to see kind of like the Starsky and Hutch nature, or like Sundance Kid and
Butch
Cassidy nature of young June and Ah Sahm. That's slowly kind of coming to fruition here, because young June, from the moment Awesome appears in the show, he wants to be his best friend, basically. And so like this opening scene is actually kind of like a bonding thing between them, because like they're just going around murdering people, and they're just like, "Oh yeah, you murdered that guy real good." And then but we get to see like what Awesome's day job is now. Like he's wearing like the suit, and he's like walking in slow motion.
Looking good in that suit.
God damn, that scene where they're walking down the alleyway and they're in like the Mighty Ducks formation.
And they slow it down.
I'm like, oh
and
my.
the wind whipping through their suits.
It's literally Peaky Blinders. Like right when
so
they're
good.
walking through the factories of Birmingham, and they're just like, this is the Peaky fucking Blinders. Like it's literally that, but for this gang.
Yeah.
It's so freaking good. I love
This
it.
is the Hop fucking way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah.
That's way better than The Mandalorian. This is the way. Oh shit! Yeah. Also, I have to give a shout out to the music. Whoever wrote the music for this show, the music is freaking epic. The opening credit scene alone, it's like bum, 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 bum. I get into it. I don't skip the credits in this show.
Me neither.
I love it every time. It gets you in the mood.
It gets me jazzed.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
like, yeah, we're here to fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna fuck a bunch of dudes and then murder them.
All right, so
I didn't know I needed a 1800s Chinatown mobster show.
I need it now. I can't wait for
Yeah,
season 3. It's gonna be so great.
stuff.
So I want to talk about the mayor's wife. She gets into a bind in this episode. So she's walking through what they call the pond, which is like an Irish
sandbox.
Is it the sandbox or the pond? Because there's so many slang words for areas.
So basically, the pond is kind of like the town square that's right outside of Chinatown, and it's basically the border of where white people like live and Chinese people live, and you never go into the pond
And it's
if
kind
you're
of like
coming from Chinatown.
where the Hop Wei territory ends,
Yeah.
so they don't.
Yeah, but she's got this
transgress.
valet who's Chinese, and they're going to like this like Chinese
Herbalist.
to buy stuff to like knock her husband out, basically.
So that she doesn't have to fuck them.
Is that what she's doing? now?
Yes.
That's the whole reason why she went there.
Yes.
I love her even more.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
And as she's leaving Chinatown, there are these like drunk Irish guys who are very upset about the 2 Irish dudes that just got murdered. And so like they're the word on the street is that it was in retaliation for the Chinamen that those guys murdered. And so they instantly assume that like it was a Chinese murderer who did it.
Yeah.
And so the first China guy that they see after they come out of the bar is
poor Jacob.
Is poor Jacob, like her
Who
valet.
never hurt nobody.
Yeah,
He's such a sweetheart.
And so they start accosting him, and she's like, "Hey, stop! Wait a minute! Like, you know, this is my valet."
Oh, and
He
they
did nothing."
roughhouse her.
Yeah. So they knock her down. They start beating up Jacob, and that's where they have the line like, "There's no China in the Bible." And then Awesome shows up because he saw this woman in Chinatown. He was kind of enamored with her, and so he leaves young June and follows her. And when he sees like this thing going down, he just steps in, and he's so cocky about it. He's just like,
God.
I can take these guys left
Dude,
and right.
the look on his face when he goes up against people, and he's just like, I know I can take you down. He's got this smirk, and he's like,
He's
"All right,
like
come on, let's go."
tickled by it.
Yeah, oh yeah, he's having a blast.
And like when he's done, the way he goes up to her and he's like, ma'am. And then he gets knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, Big Bill comes up behind him.
Big Dick
him,
Bill.
Yeah. well, no, Big Dick tries to interfere
that's
with
right,
the fight, and he gets knocked out by the Irishman. And then when Big Bill comes on the scene, he thinks that Awesome was the one who was like,
fighting everybody,
yeah,
basically.
So he hits him across the back of the head with his club,
Arrests him.
knocks Awesome out, and then immediately arrests him and plans to pin the murders
On
of the 2
him,
Irish
yeah.
guys on him.
Well, I mean, he's wearing gang colors. He's
Yeah.
got a hatchet in his jacket. He kind of like, if anybody matches the description, it's gonna be this freaking guy.
That made me laugh because Penny's like, no, you've got the wrong man.
He
He's
pulls out the
innocent."
hatchet.
And the police officer pulls an axe out of his jacket pocket and he's like, are you sure?
It's like, oh yeah, he's really innocent there, lass.
and also Big Bill's kind of justification for all this is like, okay, even if this guy wasn't responsible for the murders, he's done some bad stuff,
Yeah.
so
He's a
he probably deserves to be in
Yeah.
jail.
Yeah.
He's guilty of something.
He fits something. Yeah.
But we need to point out that before this scene happens, so like there's a scene where basically the Chinatown squad is called in to look at the brutal murders of that Toy committed the previous night, and Big Dick is in there, and he's actually doing real police work.
Getting his hands
Yeah.
dirty. He's all up in the guts.
He's got a notepad, and they're
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck are you doing with a notepad?"
Yeah,
and
he's like fucking Sherlock Holmes over
Yeah,
here.
he's
Like,
like,
Sticking his fingers in his intestines. and
Three
stuff.
fingers in an intestine.
What did he say? O'Reilly, or not O'Reilly? What was his name?
Leary?
Bill O'Reilly was like, "Get your fingers out of his entrails. Get over here."
yeah.
Put his guts back in his belly.
That's what it was.
And,
Yeah.
and it's funny because like all like the senior policemen are there, and they're just like, oh, it was like some like Chinaman hit squad or something like that.
Yeah.
And Big Dick is the only one who's there who's like, no, like look at how clean this cut is. Look at like how there's no hesitation
Yeah,
like
it was-
with this wound.
It was obviously one person with a sword, and they're like, "No, it wasn't."
He's giving that one guy the shocker with his intestines.
Yeah, he totally was for sure. But I love that they have the Sherlock Holmes type, and he's also kind
Yeah.
of, he's like an innocent. I don't know how to say this. He's just an innocent guy. He doesn't understand the inner workings of like the gang members and where the police.
He's
Like,
innocent to the world of San Francisco.
he's very black and white.
Yeah.
He's very much like by the rules, by the book, and everybody else is in this gray area, and he kind of stands alone. Is like, no, I'm actually going to do my job.
Well,
Doing forensic police work.
Yeah.
Also, when Big Bill arrests Awesome, like he's standing there, he's like, hey, this guy didn't do anything, and Big Bill's like, shut up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then like when they're at the police station, he's like, he's like, what's your name? What's your name? I can't fill out this paper without your name. And then Big Bill comes up, and he's like, just put in John Chinaman.
Yeah.
That's all their names.
Yeah, and he's obviously covering up the fact that he can speak English because it's could be detrimental to him to
the less
reveal
you
that.
know, the more power I have.
Yeah, for sure. And when he's in the cell, and the mayor's wife eventually works her way down. She goes to her husband at first to ask for help, and I love this little interaction. You could tell how much they loathe each other.
Yeah.
Like she's like, "You have to help this guy. He was trying to save me," and he's like, "I don't care. Whatever. Let him rot in jail. It doesn't matter to me."
Yeah,
He's
this
no-
is excellent for me.
Yeah, this is great. I'm not gonna mess
Yeah.
with my
And
status quo.
Especially because like everyone knows that they're going to be pinning the murders on this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
and the mayor is being held accountable for solving these murders.
Yeah. And then when she walks away, she's like, "I don't know what I was thinking come to you." And he's like, "I don't have the slightest idea," or something along those lines of like, "I don't know why you came to me either."
Yeah, I don't know why you open your mouth, simple woman.
well, we also get to meet her father in this episode,
Yeah.
who's kind of like this
He seems like a nice guy.
he's kind of
He's an engineer. He's a businessman.
he's a steel magnate.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
like
yeah.
basically he kind of fell on hard times, and the reason that she had to marry this doofus of a mayor was to basically save her father's business. And we see that the father had made some kind of deal with the mayor, and the mayor is not holding up his end. He's acting like really shady about it, but the father's like entire fortune is based off of whether or not the mayor can come through with this.
Yeah, because they're having a
contract.
railroad built, and there's all this back and forth
It's
between
actually
like,
they're
it's actually a
building
trolley system.
trolley.
yeah, who are we gonna have build it? The Irish or the Chinese?
Yeah. Yeah. And later on that comes in, there's a big to do later on in a couple episodes about like them using Chinese labor to build this thing as opposed to Irish labor. And
Yeah.
it's
Because
just
you can get 3 Chinese for one Irishman.
for the price of one Irishman. And I'm like, it's the fault of a capitalist system where they're like, what's the cheaper way to go? As opposed to, why don't we just hire a little bit of both and pay everybody equally? No, we can't do that.
Oh, fuck that.
That's too expensive.
We got a union.
We've got the union members. And I've been a part of unions, and there's like, I mean, obviously they're not like they were back in the 1800s, but I can see a little bit of the leftovers from like back in the day to what I've had to deal with in my personal life, working with unions and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, there's still a lot of that going on. Like that mentality is still definitely there. Like you have to hire union workers and pay them right. You get the scabs that come in for half the price or whatever. We call them scabs, and they got riots, and not riots, but like protests at the gates of the facilities and stuff. Like I've seen it, man. It's wild that it still happens even today.
The replacements.
Yeah, we call them scabs. If you work and you're non-union, and the company like pushes the union out, and you come to work for a cheaper price, they will wait at the gate for you. and like we'll destroy your car.
I see them with their signs every time I drive down D. Martin.
Yeah.
In this episode, we really get to see how much Big Bill is kind of under the thumb of Dennis Leary. He basically comes in and starts ordering Big Bill to basically do everything he tells him to, and Bill is not too thrilled about it, but he goes along with it anyway because he's in a huge amount of gambling debt.
Yeah.
That he needs to basically work off.
Yep.
But another aspect of this is that Father June, when he hears about Awesome's arrest, he's really pissed off. He was like, he's been here 2 days and he's already arrested. And so young June wants to go after him and try to help him out. And Father June is just like, no, let him rot, and young June is not too happy.
Hold on a second. Young June and Father June. Father's the older one. The kid is the younger one.
Yeah.
Young June.
Father June's literally his father.
It's his father.
You just now caught on to that?
How many times have you watched this?
It's freaking names, dude. It's made for white people.
How much simpler could it be?
It's made.
Father June.
It's made for us.
Young June Junior.
Yeah. I
He
get it
probably
now.
has a sister named Young She.
Young She June.
She June.
She June.
Sister June.
Oh God, this is made for us, isn't it? It's made for us dumb Americans. Yep. All right. Well, hey, great job. I mean, it makes it.
Yeah, you nailed it.
So basically, Awesome is completely isolated now. And the only one who seems to give a crap is Charlotte, the mayor's wife. Who is that her name? Charlotte?
Penelope. Charlotte's from C.
Yeah,
You
sorry.
really want to talk about Charlotte.
I do.
Charlotte's she's the best from C.
Yeah.
She is the leader of the Compass.
Yeah, but Penelope is the only one who actually cares about what happens to him, and so she comes into the police station, and she has to see him, and she doesn't know that he can speak or understand English, and so she's there, and she's like, I want to help you. I just wish you could talk to me and tell me how I can help you. And as she's leaving, Awesome decides to trust her because she seems to be the only one who actually cares about what happens to him. And
she says, they're going to pin these murders on you. And as she's leaving, he says, I'm not a murderer.
Yeah, even though he kind of is.
He totally is a murderer.
He's killed many people.
I mean, not of those guys.
Yeah. It was all accidental deaths.
Yeah.
I'm more of a manslaughter.
Just doing my job.
But basically, Awesome decides to trust her and starts speaking English to her. And once she understands that he can not only understand what she's saying, but also communicate with her, they start having this bonding moment. And this is the very beginning of their relationship.
Oh man, and do they have some steamy moments in this?
I can't
season?
wait.
They have that pure white apartment that they go and run away to. We'll talk about that a little bit.
About.
You don't know what we're talking about?
Art studio.
Yeah. Oh, is that what they call it these days?
That's where I do my pottery.
How clean is this table?
Oh.
I'm gonna go to the art studio and show you my O face. All right, well, that's pretty much it for the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, a lot of good setup, a lot of good characters.
Yeah, the next time we talk about this show, it'll be a little bit less intensive because we won't have to go through every single character's dynamic in the show. We'll be able to just talk about the episodes themselves. But thank you for watching. Really appreciate it. Make sure to go to saltynerd.com/DC and download Dragon Champions, our sponsor for this video. And stay tuned with us. And like Vader said, on Monday nights on saltynerd.discord.com, we will be watching the 2 episodes that we'll be talking about the following Tuesday. So if you haven't seen this movie and you want to watch it in a group setting, which is a lot of fun, we have an active chat while we're watching it. Go over to the Discord app, sign up. It's public access for everybody, so just jump in there. We'll greet you. We'll say hello. We'll introduce you to the server, and we'll show you where to go.
Then we'll say, put your mute button on.
Just turn your mute button on. But it is a lot of fun. I enjoy our Monday night watch parties with V. And that being said, that's it for the episode. Thank you so much for watching. V, say goodbye to the people.
Hey,
and,
see you guys.
Do your thing.
Here we are talking about this crazy show. Thank you, Jonathan Tropper, for giving us another
banger of a show.
Banger of an episode and banger of a show to watch. This is good stuff. Brand new for me, man. Really enjoying this. I can't wait for us to get through this and start the new season.
Yeah.
So we'll all be on the same page. I feel like I'm a little behind everybody.
That's okay.
But yeah, this is fun.
Cool. Right on. Jude, say goodbye to the people.
Bye, people. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching or listening. And I hope you check out this show because it's a really good show. And I'd love to talk about it in the comments with you.
Yeah, for sure. Kadish, take it away.
Yeah, season 1 and 2 of Warrior is available on HBO Max right now for on demand, so you can watch all two seasons. You can binge through them. And when does the season 3 drop? It's June?
Late June. I don't remember exactly.
Father June?
Father June.
They did that on purpose.
Did they do it on purpose?
It's all connected.
God damn it. These guys are freaking geniuses. Yeah, it comes out late June. I can't remember the exact date. I think it might be the 20-something, 25th or 29th. 21st, something like that. But shout out to Jonathan Tropper and Chris Aruda, who also worked on our favorite Apple TV show, C. We will be in contact with them. Expect our DMs because we will be contacting you. They both said they wanted to come back on the show, so I'm really hoping that once we get season 3 out the door, that we can have them on to talk about this show because it's their baby. I mean, they worked on this together from season 1, season 2, season 3.
Special shout out to Hoon Lee.
Oh yeah,
who's a friend of the show as well.
Absolutely.
And we have an interview with him.
Yes, it'll hopefully be coming out soon. But special shout out to Hoon Lee. He's always the star of whatever show he's in, no matter the size of his part. Like he always steals the show. So.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching the show. Tune in every single week as we break down 2 episodes per week until the end of June, and then we'll catch up with 1 episode per week. Are they doing 1 episode? Or are they binge dropping this whole season?
I believe HBO Max does the 1 episode per week.
Good for you. Good for you. Keep it up. Don't ever change. Doesn't matter what Netflix does. 1 episode per week coming up in June. So stay tuned with us and go along with us on this journey through 18th century, 19th century.
Chinatown.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm done talking because I'm drinking too much. Bye, everybody. Stay salty. See you next week.
Kiss my salty ass.